Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to the Empowered Harmonizers. And before we get started on today's topic, I just want to give a huge shout out to those of you who have recently donated to the channel. Thank you so much for your contributions and your thoughtfulness. It is with so much gratitude and an honor and a privilege to be able to create this community here, and I appreciate your input, your contributions, your inquiries, your comments. Thank you for being an integral part of this community. And once again, I've received a number of different emails as well as comments as to where to donate. Yes, there is an About tab on the homepage here at YouTube where if you feel guided and you want to make a donation, if I've been a positive influence in your life, you absolutely positively can. It's just like a tiny button on, I believe, on like the right-hand side. So absolutely, thank you so much. And I really want to zoom in and focus in on a very poignant and important inquiry and comment that we got in here at the channel. And this was a comment from a viewer who had recently been intimidated or treated with brazen disrespect by a family member. And she had really done nothing wrong. Was just sharing some experiences from the Olympics, and she was just excited and sending pictures, and this person was just like wanting to shut down her happiness. You will see this occur with those people who have cluster B or thought disorders, or they might be borderline. The diagnosis is not the question here. What we're looking at is when you get that intimidating comment, that power move, that shutting you down, especially at your points of happiness, like when you are having fun, here comes the narcissist or the psychopath to slam in rain, not only rain on your parade, but make some very hurtful comments. In fact, they had basically, replied to her positive outreaching and her gregariousness, that which is authentically her, and they just basically said, stop, I'm going to block you. Now, I'm going to block you from my phone. And as we know in today's information age, when you are blocked, that is perhaps one of the rudest things, power move things that you can say to somebody, as if, you have the leverage, you have the control, as if you would be the one, it's like the ultimate way to hurt somebody. You've heard back in the day when we had the, the phones that had the cord, and if you were mad, you'd like slam it up and really hope to hurt their ear. It's like the same sort of process. If you tell someone you're going to block them, it's an ultimate stab in the gut. It's a jab, right to get you where it hurts, as if you're then, going to respond and explain and justify. So my message for you today is when you are faced with an individual, a cluster B, a psychopath, a narcissist, diagnosis doesn't matter, male or female doesn't matter. When they come at you with threatening comments, intimidating comments, totally trying to control and overpower you and your thinking, like they're always trying to assert their foot in your mouth. They're always trying to tell you to change something about yourself, where you're doing something, where you're picking this up. Why don't you grocery shop over there? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? You should do this with your car. You should do this with your groceries. I mean, it becomes relentless. And you will know it when you are around this type of person who wants to control and overpower you strictly for the purpose of that, knowing that they are trying to control the outcome. And it becomes very tedious, and people's neck break underneath that pressure, especially when we're talking about the intimidation and the sort of I'm going to make you afraid. Those people who try to intimidate through fear, like I'm going to block you. I mean, it's just the ultimate, like I'm going to pull the plug on your resuscitation machine. I'm going to pull your lifeline, as if it really makes a difference. And my message for you today is you do not need to tolerate this sort of abusive behavior. In today's day and age, if someone is threatening you with blocking you, that it's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of how immature and insecure this person is. It's a reflection of them, the fact that they can't speak in a human, normal tone, a civil tone. There's no reason why you should have to receive this sort of intimidation. And, she was like, well, and how do I deal with this? Basically, the point is that she was doing nothing wrong. I mean, nothing to elicit this overreaction. And so oftentimes you'll see this in the cluster B, those people, especially who are trying to control you, especially at your finest moments, your happiest moments. I mean, your human inalienable right is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you have been with these people, then oftentimes your happiness state has been so shrunk down that oftentimes it's very difficult for people to even let go and have fun. They're so used to being, getting punched, getting the bologna sandwich, getting hit emotionally with words such as like that, and then, what her problem is that then she's constantly then thinking about this other person. Oh, I can't believe this. I'm shocked. What a jerk. I can't believe he said that. And then next thing you know, rather than living your life and thinking about yourself, what you want to do, and enjoying something like the Olympics, enjoying your restaurant night out, enjoy your dancing night out, all these things that are like in your expansive happiness, that's where they're trying to, it's going to be a very unfortunate situation because then it's going to try to shrink your happiness. So my second message for you is remember that your happiness is unlimited and you are as happy as you choose to be, Abraham Lincoln. And you need to see this person and move on. Do not get stuck in explaining and justifying, or furthermore, do not be emotionally strong and do not give in to the fight. Do not step into the boxing ring with this type of individual. Do not, well, what did I do wrong? And, furthermore, you have no reason to apologize for yourself. You were having fun. You don't get into, well, I'm sorry this. No. Stop rendering yourself helpless to these fear or intimidation statements. You don't know how to do that. I'm going to block you. You're not going to meet my family. Da, 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 da. These sort of slanderous comments, this triggers the fight or flight when we are criticized in such a manner as back in our reptilian brain that's been with us for hundreds of millions of years still has that parasympathetic response. And in fact, back in the day, hundreds of thousands of years ago, that same feeling of fear in your stomach and, your eyes are getting wide, that was what we encountered at the saber-toothed tiger, that same reaction system. But studies have shown that when you are criticized and are on the receiving end of these sort of statements, like, that are meant to intimidate and make you afraid, as if you have done something gravely wrong when you have not. It disrupts your thinking pattern. And so, you have to realize that if a good flag or a good indicator for you is if then you are constantly thinking about this person rather than living your own life. And this can get stuck on people for weeks, months, years, and decades, where they are then react in a very fearful manner. They can't think clearly. They're so shocked. They're derailed emotionally. They can't focus once again on their happiness. What used to make them happy no longer makes them happy because they just got a sock in the gut. They just got a slap in the face from a rude, cluster B, borderline, out of control, toxic, manipulative person. Do not be manipulated. Do not, it's very difficult. Of course, it's easier to say, but it's very difficult to do. But what you need to do is understand that you must take ownership and take entitlement to your own happiness and begin to move on from these types of people. You need to fill your life what makes you smile, that makes you excited, what you love to see. And if these people are going to cut you down and interfere with your happiness, I'm sorry, but they are not speaking to you with your best interest in mind. And you better literally look at them like they're going for your jugular. They're going for your life vein. And you do not get into the boxing ring. You do not need to stoop and apologize for something that you have not done wrong. You need to say, wow, that is amazing. Look at what I have. Look, this person is really showing their colors. And move on. MOVEON, move on. Do not start draining all sorts of energy and your most precious commodity, time. Do not devote any more time to trying to explain and justify yourself or feeling afraid. Begin to use the role of metacognition and mindfulness and go, wow, that was meant to be an emotionally manipulative move for me to falter to. No way. Like Christina Aguilera says, don't bring me down today. I mean, do not be brought down by those words. Words cannot bring you down. They might think they can. They might be pushing their weight around. They might be pushing their sex around. Taller, older, bigger, whatever it is that they're trying to push you around. Just yield, step aside, and let them go. It's a message really from the universe that this person does not deserve your time, attention, and energy. These are what they call the emotional vampires, the spiritual vampires. It's like walking and, stumbling on a minefield with these people. And when you, want things to be harmonious so much, and you really are kind of projecting the happiness to them, and you're really wanting things to work out, and you're being cooperative, you're being, you're being a good listener, you're being a good friend, you're being a good spouse, you're being a good sibling, a good coworker, whatever it is. And then here it comes, just out of the blue, out of the woodwork. And there's a statement that says, when people show you who they are, believe them. So when you see this going, begin to raise your standards. So if you have tolerated this and you've been receiving all these sorts of threats and these sort of hurtful statements, I'm sorry, but life is too short for you to be receiving this sort of negative energy, because this is the energy that gets locked in your body and becomes degenerative in nature. This is the kind of comments that you are not in your best interest, that you need to get away from. And if this is a big statement, a big awakening, this should be an eye-opener for you, because here your gentle, loving, affectionate ways, are being trampled on. They are an attempt to destroy. And when we talk about working, trying to work through relationships with people who have anger problems or psychopathic in nature, it is lethal. When I talk about the serious tone like I am now, it is because I am 100% gravely serious. And people will waste years, decades of their life hurt from these people. And even if it does not make sense, this is my brother, this is my mother, this is my father, this is my spouse, this is my boss, this is the CEO, whatever explanations or excuses you're making for them, make that as another sign too, and saying, you know what, don't, look at what they have done, don't look at their title, because otherwise you're leaving yourself open to abuse, and you don't realize, but your baseline for happiness drops down, 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 down. And you need to be able to have more feelings of safety and joy and happiness. And if they are trying to threaten you at your safety, where like the saber-toothed tiger, they are just thinking that they can just make these sort of texts and comments to you or ignoring you, I'm sorry, but do not play the game. Do not get in the ring. Do not get in the relationship. Exit the relationship. And, but peace and harmony, this is my brother. But peace and harmony, this is my spouse. This is my daughter. I mean, do not accept it. I really believe in adopting a zero tolerance policy. If someone is going at, and hurting innocent people, living in fear, you're not, you can't pursue your studies. You can't pursue a television show. You can't read. You can't focus, because you're so upset all the time, then it is time to realize and recognize the toll that it's taking, and do not minimize what they're doing. You do not tolerate this. Your time is worth more than being treated this way. If you're spending time alone, then you are adding value to your time, because this person, as I see it, they're taking away from your emotional bank balance, and you are going to be in like $1 trillion deficit when you stay with these abusive people. It'll become so difficult for you to build up your emotional bank balance where you're feeling good again. You need to protect your life like Fort Knox. You know what? You don't need to explain or justify why you're not engaging with them. You are just going to stop. Your actions will speak louder and more powerfully than words. 0 contact. No, I'm sorry. No, don't say that to me. Do not waste any more time. What is done is done. And you know when it's time to say, you know what, that was the straw. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. This is it. I am not taking this anymore. I do not deserve to be treated this way. You don't tell them that, but this is your self-talk. And then you need to get into the very positive self-talk where, if they've really rattled your cage, they've really made you upset, you need to then calm down and say, okay, you know what? That really shows me the true colors of this person. Wow, that was an eye-opener. No more for me. I mean, shut the door on the relationship, airtight, waterproof tight. They cannot, they can't undo the combination key to get at you. You are untouchable to them. You are not talking to them. You are not engaging in texting, their emails, etc. You should not have anything to do with it, because if you've already paid the price through weeks, months, and years of your decades and having an emotional deficit of hurt and fear, the fear is oftentimes very crippling when these people make you afraid, when you find out that they've done certain things, or, they're making these comments. It's like the tip of the iceberg. This is how these people think. Just get away. They're one person in a whole sea of people, and life is here. You will meet other brothers and sisters who will be more of a brother and sister to you, or a parent, a mother and a father, or a CEO or a manager than this person who is so hurtful. And so, you really then need to get into your affirmations and say, I am safe. And I thank my God, my God source above, I am safe. Thank goodness. Thank you for keeping me safe. And, connect to that higher self and communicate, if you believe in the archangels or, Jesus or the God source or the light, and say, thank you so much for keeping me safe. Thank you so much for the perspective of safety. I am going to protect myself now, and it is good. And you do this, and then you can also furthermore see how this then corrupts people's lives, where then out of hurt and fear, they start doing a whole host of other behaviors. They start becoming the counterforce to their force. They start launching, back at them, texting angrily, emailing angrily, getting into spats, really crossing the line. They spend hours and days feeling sad, depressed, hurt feelings, down feelings, insecure, and then when people are very young, or when they're especially very cognitively immature, they haven't grown enough yet, they don't have the self-esteem, that's when these people's lives really begin to get derailed, when these people have used a strong emotional upper hand to hurt them. And so if this is you out there listening to this, my prayers and my thoughts are with you, and thank you so much for sharing that, because it's a horrible place to be in, and I'm sorry that this happened to you. It's very sad to have to accept that we have to let certain people go. I mean, they, no matter what, look at their actions. You really, because oftentimes people then, they go back, and then it happens again. They started, well, remember this and remember that, but then they get hurt again and again. And, just think, though, how much of your time has been spent grieving and just trying to recover from these sort of audacious, behaviors. You need to get around people who are more gentle, kind, loving, talkative, supportive, even just neutral. I mean, they don't have to be, you know, like a lifeline, like a life buoy to you, but they can at least be neutral. I mean, so you need, and do you see how then it destroys people? It leads to the drinking. It leads to the crying. It leads to the post-traumatic stress syndrome, the flashbacks, the ruminations, the staring at the text. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. And then you're constantly thinking about this other person rather than living your own life. It's like the toothache, the heartache that never goes away. If you're constantly thinking about this problem maker, it's time to say enough is enough. You need to stop overthinking it and just stop. Stop thinking about it. Let it go. Delete, this text that they sent you. Just make sure you remember, though, that you have now, and don't doubt your perceptions. Don't doubt your clarity, because people want to keep in the fog. They want to keep it kind of, clouded over. Well, maybe they didn't really see it and then they forgive and they forget. But oftentimes, you forgive and forget an abuser and you're really just making yourself an open target. Shut the door on being a target to these people. No more. Begin to adopt a very stern, strong stance and just say, I've seen the colors of this person. Now I know, and I know that I know, and I need to remember that. Even though you don't want to even though you might not want to, you need to. And then say, okay, protecting myself and moving on is the most significant thing I can do. And then my happiness is going to grow exponentially. And I'm going to immediately get into something that makes me happy right away. I'm going to make plans. I'm going to have stuff to look forward to. I'm going to work in my appointment book. And I'm doing these things. And never again. Do not look back behind your shoulder. Do not pass go. Do not sulk and try to explain yourself. Don't waste any more time, because time is your most precious commodity. And if you've already wasted enough time and you've been living in a state of fear and unhappiness because of this sort of rash treatment that you are just suffering silently with, I'm so glad that you aired it out here on the channel and let us know that this is happening. You do not need to suffer in silence and isolation. It might be, with you for a little bit, like a little bit of an anchor, but really get that down to the point where you have worked it through in your own mind and heart and just say, that's it. That is it. And then move on right away and begin to engage in your positive, orderly direction thinking, where you're now, immediately start looking at pictures, priming your subconscious, surrounding your things that make you happy. Get out for a little bit of walk, shake it off, get yourself a Coke or a Diet Coke, get yourself some pop, something that makes you feel good physiologically, maybe some chocolate so you can start getting the physiology going, and then just keep it going from there. Watch some comedy, do something lighthearted, right? Do something that you find entertaining, or get out with people, or, go, get a pet, get some new books, go get some coffees, something that can physiologically change your mood, but you need to take action. You might need to go out, you might need to go to your bookstore or, your local mall. You might just need to look around and just air it out, but do not begin to just stop the rumination and catch yourself before it really gets too far. And thank you once again. That really struck a chord with me. And I hope that these videos do help. Take action right away and focus on all the beautiful things that there are in life, because otherwise, if you don't, you're going to miss so much of the great and finer things that life has to offer. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.